All right, guys. Happy Thursday. Bellman and Kostrowski, the Men in Black today, are here to talk a little baseball with you. I know you crushed all that day stuff earlier. Thank you for doing that. Let's talk about the night stuff.
Yeah, let's get it. Nice six gamer. I love slates this size, so excited to talk this one out.
Do you like this one so far?
I haven't looked at this one too much because the early slate just locked like 20 minutes ago. So
Yeah,
I've
fair enough.
looked at it, but not like a ton. I do like it because I think it's another slate where we get Toronto under a home.
Okay. Um, I got you right there. And so you don't mind picking on your boy Tristan McKenzie? And I say your boy knowing that you don't love him.
No, I don't. I actually think both sides of this game could be in play. I don't know if I like Toronto as much as I have the past few nights though, because McKenzie does like when he's on have really good stuff, and it seems like when he's off, the walks are the big issue.
Yeah, he's given up a lot of home runs the last three starts, but I don't know if that's just an outlier because, over the previous starts before that, home runs wasn't an issue.
The truth. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting one because I'm not like I'd use McKenzie here, but how much do we like Toronto tonight? I think is the question.
So, I mean, the pitching's not beautiful on this one. I mean, I don't love Valdez at 9.9 or Gray at 9,300, but how many guys on the slate can you actually consider playable?
Not many at all. This slate it's definitely ugly.
I know you mentioned maybe being interested in a couple of Cleveland bats. We've talked about Ross Stripling, plenty through the years. This guy is all over the place, right? I mean, he will look like a borderline SP2 for weeks at a time. And then it all changes, and he looks like an absolute gas can for weeks at a time.
Yeah, for sure. This is kind of definitely one where I feel like ownership will sway me. Like, you know, uh, none of these guys feel good about it. I mean, even like Sonny Gray, who's getting a ton of love, has not been good lately.
His last start was good, though, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was. Okay, I
Yep.
didn't even realize that. So
But he got
I
absolutely
understand why
demolished by your Cardinals before that.
yeah, I understand why he's getting love though here. I mean, it's hard not to lock him in.
Well, I mean, we know Pittsburgh's not good. He's been good, and it just on a different slate, I would not be lining up to take him. But on this one, I'm looking at him, Valdez against the Minnesota F squad or whatever you want to call it. And even though he was not good last time out, I'm still looking at Tuki Toussaint just a little bit, just based on the upside we saw in the previous starts.
Yeah, definitely looking at Tukey. I also think you can make a case for St. Louis.
They've been better against right-handers all season. I think you've mentioned that a few times.
Yes, most definitely. So no doubt a slate like that. And then I also don't think like Daniel Lynch at 6,300 is crazy.
Don't love throwing lefties against the White Sox, but as you mentioned like 2 days ago, Anderson and Abreu. I think Anderson ended up homering that day, but that doesn't change the fact that for the season, it just has not been his best year.
Yeah, and on a lot of slates, I wouldn't even be looking here, but this is not a lot of slates.
No, not a great game the other day against Toronto. That happens to a lot of pitchers. He was really good against Detroit, like really, really good. And I think you and I both talked a little junk about him during that slate.
Yeah, exactly. And like his stuff is legit. I mean, he's like the one of, if not the top pitching prospect for the Royals. So had been very good in the minor leagues. And if his stuff is on, like, it's not the greatest spot in the world, but it's not crazy at 6,300 on this slate.
No, again, those are the key words right here. This slate, because there is not a lot of guys that are in play. I'm a bigger Tyler Anderson fan than you are, but I'm not looking to throw him in Yankee Stadium at this price against those Yankees. So I'd much rather play guys against him in this situation. I mean, there's only really a couple of guys that you can even look at, and I'm just going to assume that Valdez and Gray are very, very popular.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Hard not to like those guys for sure.
And we're both well aware of the fact we don't want to pay 9.9 for Valdez, but I mean, tell me who else you're going to put on your roster today.
Truth.
So let's talk about some of these offenses, figure out how easy it is to play around with both of those high-priced pitchers right here. We mentioned the New York against Seattle game. We got Cortez and what can only be described as, some version of maybe a bullpen game. He did throw 79 pitches the other day, so he's more stretched out than he had been in the past. I guess technically Nestor is not out of play.
No, he's not out of play at all. I'm with you. Again, one of those slates where the options are so bad. Yeah, Cortez, kind of stretched out. You worry though, or I worry. He pitched really well that game and went 80 pitches. What happens if he gets into some trouble and I don't think they're going to be hesitant to pull him.
I agree with you, and which is again why I would more likely end up on Tukey, just knowing that he's like going to be a legit starter. But I don't think Cortez will get many buyers.
Agreed.
Which could be a thing on this slate. I'm a much bigger Tyler Anderson fan than you are, as we've discussed, but the Yankees look fairly good here. What is your thoughts on them as one of the premier Yankee lovers in the DFS world?
I like the Yankees here. It looks like they're coming in a little bit under-owned. I mean, I'm sure they're going to have guys that are really popular. Stanton looks like a really good play. I like the
I'm going to go out
Stanton.
on a limb. Stanton's high owned today.
I would venture to say so. LeMahieu looked good last night. Yeah, the only thing is, like, there are a couple teams in, like, better so-called spots than the Yankees, like the Astros and the Reds.
Okay. Again, for the write-up today, Professor Bellman will continue to look at ownership percentage, and I think this is one of those things that if the Yankees are coming in a lot lower owned than you think, then you're going to be very excited about them in that, sorry excuse for a ballpark that they have in regard to keeping the ball in the ball, stopping it from going over the fences. This is definitely a spot where they can hit multiple homers.
1,000%.
I think Stanton will be one of the more popular players on this slate, and we've been saying this for years. This guy is all over the place, but when he's up for a while, and he is up right now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I do like the Yankees quite a bit here.
Okay. I think for cash game players, Stanton needs to be one of the first guys you look at because he has elite upside. And against a lefty like this, 4 hits and a walk the past 2 days, chalk.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, next up, we got Cleveland against Toronto. I'm sure, again, you'll study up on the ownership percentages. Once again, though, if Toronto is like way lower owned than you think, then it's hard not to be at least a little bit interested in their price tags. I can see keeping people off them.
Yeah, I mean, Springer leading off, like, it seems like he leads off with a homer every day. I know he doesn't, but he's just awesome. He's always been like this. And when he's going well like this, he's a good play on any slate. And I think he's a good play again tonight. I do.
Yeah, but they are pricey, which is, this is going to keep some people off of them. We mentioned a couple of the cheaper pitchers. We don't love them, but if it gets you these guys that you like, and if Toronto's coming in with real low ownership at these prices, I'm sure it's an interesting idea.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Anybody specifically from Cleveland or just more the idea of a small stack?
Well, honestly, I think the full stack could be in play. Yeah, he's not even on the Indians. The Ramirez homered in his last at bat yesterday. This lineup actually was pretty good late last night. And they have really cheap guys all throughout, like Owen Miller, Bobby Bradley. Bunch of these guys had double digits last night. Franmil Reyes. So I kind of like the stack getting to Stripling, but my favorite would definitely be Jose Ramirez.
Okay. They look to be very. I would just assume they're low owned too, right? Like,
Yeah,
Cleveland's not a team getting love today.
I would assume so, yeah. Especially like the lower parts of their lineup.
Okay. I feel like there's a lot of relatively no names on their team at this point too, which makes them a harder team for people to roster.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Like, I would never do this either, but again, if you're trying to catch lightning in a bottle, Will Crow's pitched all right lately. I don't want to play him. I don't want to pitch him against Cincinnati. I don't want to pitch him in that ballpark, but I'm assuming nobody else will use Will Crow. And on this specific slate, it's not insane to think of him as one of the higher scoring pitchers. Just to reiterate, though, I would not be using him.
I'm more likely to use him than you are. I mean, definitely, especially leverage against chalky Cincinnati, who I really don't have much interest in. So then I think to myself, well, if I don't really have interest in them, then I think the pitcher might pitch okay. I could see myself using Crow here.
Yeah, I mean, especially like if you want to load up on Toronto, you need a cheap pitcher.
Exactly.
And what's his ownership going to be? 5%?
Max.
Right? So, I mean, it's going to be low. And it's not at all insane to think that he outscores Sonny Gray in this game at 1/10 the ownership or whatever it ended up being.
No, it's not likely, but it's not insane. You could always just use both also.
Sure. There's definitely that. I'm never really going to be excited about Pittsburgh bats. They got some individual pieces you don't hate. Like, Reynolds is just a good hitter, period, point blank. And any day you want to roster him, leverage off of chalky Sonny Gray, I get that.
And they got this guy Park, shortstop, leading off, who's been 2K. He was raking in the minors, so I don't hate it. He might be second base, actually. Third base? They've kind of been switching his position around. Just type in Park. Oh, he's
Outfield.
outfield. Wow. They've really
But
been switching it around.
he's still 2K though, and he's got doubles in 3 straight games.
Yeah. So I mean, he led off also.
Yeah, and I really like Sonny Gray as a pitcher, but he is not Max Scherzer.
Mm-mm.
All right, Kansas City against Chicago. Keuchel against Lynch. Game is in Chicago, which can be a launching pad in the summertime. Keuchel has been giving up a lot of home runs lately too. So I never loved Kansas City, but I'm assuming they're also unowned today.
Yeah, they also won the slate last night against Giolito.
Well, there is that. I mean, I know they're missing, like Soler's on Atlanta, and Dozier hasn't been himself, and Mondesi's been on the IL. But this definitely keeps ownership off of them. And Whit Merrifield is a guy that he's been a little underwhelming this year, to say the least, but he still runs a ton. Had 3 hits last night, loves lefties.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like that play a lot, just as a one-off. Maybe not like a full stack, but yeah, could definitely see myself using pieces here.
Yeah, and Perez has 27 bombs this year at a catching position. The fact he could end the year close to 35, that's pretty impressive.
He's got to be among the league leaders.
Right? All right, as far as the White Sox go right here, they have a couple of guys that against left-handed pitching you want to take a look at, including Tim Anderson. Again, not a must, not having his greatest season by any stretch of the imagination. And at this price tag, it's going to be hard to get to him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I guess I'm not that interested. They're really pricey. As a stack, I'd probably rather go with Toronto just because I feel like there's more people to add into that stack.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you for sure.
I mean, I understand the combination of Anderson and Abreu as a 1-2, but man, you've got to really like them. They are a lot of money.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
So I don't know.
I will say part of what makes them a little intriguing is along with those expensive guys, they have cheap guys like Vaughn, Sheets, Hernandez, 3,700. Like the only expensive guys are Abreu and Anderson, really.
Yeah, but those are the 2 guys I like, and they're super expensive.
True.
So probably not where I would end up. I'd rather go with the Yankees or Cleveland or something like that.
I get it.
All right, so you mentioned Houston against Griffin Jacks is a place where people end up. This is Griffin Jacks, not Jacks Teller, just in case anybody was interested. And again, makes a lot of sense. I understand why people go to Houston. They're actually good. Jacks has pitched fairly well the last 2 games, though. So if you're looking for a reason to abandon a chalky Houston, that could be it.
Yeah, coming back home from a West Coast trip, played the Dodgers the past 2 games, don't even get a day off. I'm all about the Astros fade.
All about the Astros?
Fade.
Okay, gotcha. I mean, again, if they're uber chalk, I totally understand that.
Yeah, so that's all it is, right? If they were coming in like with no ownership, I'd talk myself into them, but they're chalky. I don't like them in this spot, really.
I can get on board with that. We still have no Bregman. Gurriel's day-to-day. I think right there with Stanton, you're going to see Yordan Alvarez is real popular in the outfield today.
And Brantley, who's been good, and he's 3,100.
Yeah, so if you're looking for outfielders, expect those 3 guys all to eat up a lot of the share of the ownership.
Yes, agreed.
Brantley's one of those guys, though, like even if you don't like the Astros, like he could just make sense on his own because he's so cheap and I believe the term is the cog in the machine type.
Yes, he is a prototypical cog type.
All right, St. Louis against Atlanta. Tukey against LeBlanc. I think Wade LeBlanc is another one of these guys. You see his name and you kind of feel like you want to pick on him, but he's not a terrible real-life pitcher.
Yeah, not that I would ever use him here.
No, God, no, he doesn't strike out anybody.
It is interesting. 3rd straight game now. Atlanta's facing one of these like old, kind of softish talking lefties. I mean, first Lester, then Happ, now LeBlanc.
That's a reason to like him. I know we talked about Soler the last couple of days, and he's homered in back-to-back days. He's another guy that I definitely like in this spot.
Yeah, I actually think he's going to be on that Alvarez Stanton. Like that's why the other Yankees might not get like Gallo, Judge might be a little bit lower owned. Gallo for sure.
Well, let's just peek back there again real quickly. And with a lefty on the mound. And the other thing to note here for a guy like Joey Gallo, one, like he's not awful against lefties, so keep that in the back of your mind. Two, he will come in like unowned because if anybody's paying up for an outfielder, they're going to Aaron Judge against a lefty. I think you get Gallo well under 10% today.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
So he could easily get 5 innings, if not more, against the Seattle bullpen if they're good early.
Mm-hmm.
God, I don't like the Yankees, but man, do I want to watch them take batting practice. I just want to watch Gallo, Stanton, and Judge play home run derby.
Right? Oh, God, how fun would that be?
All right. So going back to Atlanta, Soler would, I don't know, definitely be my favorite guy in this team today.
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta, I will say, like, I don't think you have to stack against LeBlanc, like, but I could see them having a nice day here. The ballpark isn't great, but their lineup looks pretty juicy with Albies, Soler, Duvall, Freeman. I don't know no Acuna, but they've now replaced Acuna with Jock Peterson, Soler, and Adam Duvall. So
yeah, Atlanta's also affordable. Like you could full out stack Freeman, Albies is just under 5K, Riley, Swanson. Their best players now are very affordable compared to like say a Toronto.
yeah, Swanson's been really good too.
Yeah, he's quietly a very good player, and I don't think he gets a lot of notoriety for it.
He's got 20 bombs and some steals.
So had a 41-point game the other day, just to that the upside is legit on this guy. I mean, in his past 8 games, he's got 5 really good double-digit performances. He can do it.
For sure, no doubt.
While we got people on the horn, are you seeing any kind of ownership percentages out anywhere yet?
Yeah, it's looking like the Reds, who, I don't get why the Reds are getting so much love.
Cheap, like Naquin, Aquino, Farmer, who's been good for a while, are very inexpensive. So I'm assuming people want to slam in those top 2 pitchers and that the stack just makes sense financially.
Yeah, I get that. I'm definitely more on the Crow side.
Yeah, I'm with that again either. If the Reds are super chalk, I don't want to hear them. What are you thinking with the Yankees after looking at that?
The Yankees are coming in a little bit underowned. It looks like the Astros, the Reds, and White Sox are all getting more love. They're coming in about the same as the Braves.
Okay. Well, then sign me up for the Yankees on this one.
The Blue Jays even lower than that.
Yeah. The only problem with Toronto is they are tough to get to today with these price tags. And unless you like the cheaper pitchers, I think that would make sense, though. Especially if you continue to walk down the path of Crow.
The reason I won't stack Toronto tonight is I respect McKenzie enough. I think Mejia is god-awful. McKenzie has good stuff. He just gets in his own head. So I'll probably not go to Toronto tonight.
Okay. I get that. The Yankees aren't cheap, but they're affordable. You know what I mean? Between Stanton, Torres, and those guys, they're just a little bit easier to get into your lineup.
Amen to all that.
So, and I like Tyler Anderson. I mean, I've always liked Tyler Anderson considerably more than you are, but I do not like this spot for him at all. In Yankee Stadium, this many, power righties like that going up against, it's a bad spot for him.
Definitely. I will say, though, this is also a spot, if the Yankees were coming in chalky, I would not. This is not a spot where I feel like I'd have to force them in.
Agreed. You often might care about ownership a little bit more than I do, but where we always kind of meet is we love to pick out the right slates to take advantage of it. And if you look through a bunch of these stacks today, the ones that are getting a ton more love aren't that much more likely to succeed than the ones getting no love.
For sure. 100% agreed.
So I do really like playing the ownership game on this one. So
yeah.
I'm going to subscribe to the School of Bellman on this one.
Sweet. Love it. Love to hear it.
All right, guys, that's what we got for today. Wish everybody best of luck tonight, and we will see you soon.
Thanks, guys.